Welcome to today's show. The Lance Wallnau Show is going to be completely different than we normally do, and that's because I'm going to be bringing in really an internet sensation. Gabe Poirot has like 1 million followers, but he does the most innovative kind of types of programming, and he today is going to be sharing with us an unusual incident. A couple of them, actually, on sightings of phenomena that could be, dare I say, inexplicable, Nephilim or something else that has been caught on video. And, man, this is going to freak you out when you see this. If you're watching this, and if you're in podcast, you'll still get something. We're going to describe to you what it is that we're looking at. And we're going to talk about some other unusual phenomena. Roger Stone's been going on about this portal, dark hole portal from hell over the White House. And he was mentioned on the Metaxas show, and Eric, of course, was challenging the theory. But yeah, Alex is, Roger Stone rather has given him, an argument. So we're going to cover some unusual phenomena today in this broadcast we don't normally get into, but it's all out there because the spirit realm is overlapping with the natural realm, which is one of the reasons why we're still very big on preparing for the unexpected. LanceWallnau.com/Patriot. You have got to hear me. You need to have a couple of weeks worth of supplies for you, your family, your children, because you don't want to wait till you need them to get a hold of them. You got to have them right now. I remember 2 years ago, I really thought the Lord was giving me an urgency about preparation. I'm not one of those crazy preppers, but I woke up and I realized Noah prepared an ark for the saving of his house. Amen. That's a Bible verse. So you want to go to LanceWallnau.com/Patriot and see how you can prepare at least for a couple of weeks' worth of survival in the event that you need it, and you won't regret it. You'll have peace of mind. Let's get into this program today. It's 2023, and you couldn't ask for a better way to bring in the new year than within the Lance Wallnau Show right here with Mercedes Sparks. Over here to my left is my co-host today. And all across the fruited plains of America and around the corner into Australia, we're now closing in on over 8 million downloads, I believe, or close to it.
Well, last year was almost 8 million. So this year we need to have new records, which means you have to help us. Like, share, subscribe. Send this podcast to 3 people.
And you know what Tim Pool always does? I need you to do it too. I need you to give us a 5. You can rate this podcast. Give us a big 5. Push us to the top. I think we're up there in, a couple of hundred or whatever.
Top 200, but we get in news. But we could do better.
Well, we're going to break that today because Gabe Poirot is with us. And Gabe is kind of like we decided. He's going to be our the TMZ, man on the street, next generation authority on what's trending, what's unusual, what we should know about that we might be missing here. Gabe, thank you for being on this program today. And what's hot out there? What do we need to be paying attention to?
Thanks for having me, Lance. Well, we need to open up our eyes because on November 28th on this past year, Jill Biden, the first lady, the lady that no one really thinks anything of. I mean, her tweets don't really matter, right? And she recently reported a mirror that looks pretty interesting. And if you guys can put up the photo here, when she first tweeted this, she said, "For this year's holiday at the White House, we hope to capture the spirit embodied in the very idea of America, quote unquote, we the people." And here we have this mirror, and then it's nothing, right? It just says, "We the people." This is a lovely Christmas decoration until you zoom right in at the top. And there you have a Baphomet goat statue right on the mirror. And as you look into this, it's interesting to me. I didn't start connecting the dots to this until you come to find out that Baphomet is actually the same statue that the Satanists tried bringing into the Arkansas, I believe, Supreme Court to combat the Ten Commandments. It's the statue that represents their own quote unquote freedom and individualism. And I just think it's interesting that she just decided to post that on Twitter a couple days after Thanksgiving.
Look at even the way in which they're hanging the green thing there, whatever that is.
The wreath?
The wreath.
Yeah.
See how they're using those blue stripes or blue, for those of you that can't see this. Mm-hmm. Remember what the goat head looks like. It's like the ears are up there going out. You could see the triangular head right there if you were looking for it. Now, I don't think Mercedes is seeing it. All right, I'm just pointing it out for those of you that are going to write to me and say, "I see it, Lance." Because, by the way, you can snicker all you want there, young lady. Let me tell you something that Gabe and I know about.
Okay.
I've got footage of the witches opening up the Lula administration at his White House gala. He just went into office, got sworn in.
Wow.
And he had all of the witches and high priests of his bizarre faith and his conglomerate of anti-Christian faith all doing the opening ceremony, dancing around and doing incantations and releasing their incense and stuff. And so that was put on video as the opening of the portals into the Lula administration. The distance between the spiritual and the natural is becoming less veiled and more conspicuous. That's the point. You may poo-poo this and laugh about it, but to the people that are practicing it, they're not even holding back now. They're advertising, like we've been seeing with the fashion advertising. They're putting it in your face. Their bail interest is now like titillating. It's like they'll tease you with it. They're letting you know. What else do we have out there, Gabe, that we should be paying attention to?
I want to ask a question.
Well, okay, hold it.
Okay, I got to. When was the mirror installed?
Yeah, so in 1946, President Truman, and well, here's what's interesting. There's a couple things to break down here. 1946, President Truman, who, if anyone is forgetting, was the Freemason president. In fact, the Freemasons love to tout him on their website as their own. He just so happened to bring it into the White House. That being said, to have this type of public display on the tweet and really publicly championed really hasn't appeared quite like Jill Biden has chosen to do.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree with that, Gabe. I would think, why would you take a picture of the wreath of all the other decorations? I mean, we've been to the White House during Christmas.
We've been to the White House. I mean, you're literally going through a winter wonderland like the Gaylord Plaza at the Gaylord Hotel with hundreds of trees festooned with various,
ornaments,
artifacts.
Lights. Yeah, that's kind of it is like a random thing to say, like, here, unless she's just a terrible photographer. And it's like, here's a lamp. I mean, it's like the equivalent of that.
Well, like I did. I went to the Capitol Grill the other night and took a picture of the statue at the entrance. And people were, I thought later on, gee, this looks like I'm really desperate for content. But I was. So.
All right.
What else do we have?
Yeah. So for just to break down this, a lot of Satanists, they don't claim to actually believe in Satan. They're a group of atheists, humanists, and free speech activists. They use satanic imagery to mess with governments they feel are violating the separation of church and state. And I think what a lot of people will draw from this is you might want to come to the conclusion of like, oh, Satanists, the demon worshipers, they really infiltrated into the White House. But we need to make the connection of how the whole free thinking, the whole we the people that throws themselves up as their own God is the exact type of Satan worship that we are facing now in the White House.
And I would say that is exactly the kind of Luciferic philosophy that is at the core of the Masonic belief also, which is that man is under this Luciferic spirit is the ultimate architect of the universe. And so the Davos crowd and to make it simple, elites are increasingly coming to the conclusion that they are superior to all the rest of humanity, and that the sooner they can control the world and make it do what it's supposed to do, the closer we'll get to managing the world in a more beneficial way. So they've concluded that they have the right, by virtue of them being elites, to dominate everyone else. And since they have the intelligence and the money and the power, they're administrating in various ways the ability to do it. The only thing that's keeping us from that global one world government is the competing interests of different groups of elites who all believe they are superior to the rest of the world. China has its own version of it. Davos has its own version of it. And the Islamic world has its own version of it. What's sad is Christians, who should be, by and large, the most influential of all four groups, don't really see themselves as having the ability, authority, or capacity to give blueprints for how the world should be governed, which is strange because it's the only group that actually is commissioned to disciple nations.
Were we going to talk about the other portals, though? Do we have another? I don't know what Gabe was prepared for, but before we came on air, we were talking about portals, not just in Brazil, but you were talking about portals over the White House. Is that right, Lance?
What do we have? Portals? Did you have anything on that one, Gabe? Because I was covering a lot with Roger Stone And then a couple of Robin Bullock and a couple other prophets were kicking in on this satanic portals over the White House. Sure enough, I get my intellectual crowd that comes to me and goes, Lance, don't you know these pictures look like that if they're done with a certain kind of lens? But there's an argument that Roger Stone and these prophets are making that there actually is an unusual phenomenon that showed up when Biden walked in. Unlike Truman's mirror, this just happened when Biden came in. What have we got?
Yeah, well, I'll start off by saying it's interesting how President Biden, when he was even running for office, he championed himself as the man of the people, the man in the somehow as a moderate Democrat, right? So he really, I feel like he really marketed himself as the one that everyone should vote for if they don't want to vote for those right crazies, right? And so he started with the foundation of we the people. And what's interesting about I just think this connection between the portal, listen to this. Freemasons initiated their own vows on that only men can be admitted. No relationship exists outside the mixed lodges. The Grand Lodge has complete control over the first 3 degrees and is not subject to another body. And what does this have to do with President Biden? Everything and every part of his messaging has been telling the people the definition of words, telling the people that a recession is this, gas prices are this, you must believe this. The first degree is telling you to believe this. It really is coming across like there is absolutely a portal over the White House that says we are supreme.
But it looks like there's some almost like aurora borealis type of like lights over the White House is kind of what it was looking like.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, like with the mirror, I'm slightly skeptical, but I like the way that Gabe is positioning this because Lance, I think it goes into what you talk about, which is there's a battle for the ability, culture is defined by the words that we use, right? And there is a battle.
And ultimately, the ultimate spoils of conquest in the culture wars is the power to define the meaning of things. And when you have academia and the Supreme Court saying a man is a woman, well, that's the power to define the meaning of things. Now, if what you're defining is at war with reality, then you're beginning to build a system that must collapse because the laws of reality are merciless and they don't accommodate themselves to your subjective fantasy.
Yeah.
It's like the old story about the aircraft and the lighthouse. And you've all heard the story, but the aircraft carrier, this massive, monstrous aircraft carrier, the John F. Kennedy, whatever, was barreling down on this other ship. And it said that, signal said, get out of my way. I'm an aircraft carrier. And the other location signaled back and said, no, you better adjust your course. And then the admiral comes back and says, I'm not adjusting my course for anyone. I'm an aircraft carrier, JFK, that I gives the numbers. And the guy says, you must adjust your course. I'm the lighthouse. God is the lighthouse. And the transgender community is the aircraft carrier. It's about to have a collision course with reality. But the Trump confidant Roger Stone saw a swirling demon portal above the White House. This is in Yahoo News. Longtime Trump confidant said a demon portal is up above the Joe Biden White House. It's swirling like a cauldron, he claimed in an interview earlier this week with conservative radio host Eric Metaxas. Yale, Eric.
Yale
who
graduate.
pointed out, he always mentions Yale, so I'll mention it for him, pointed out that the observation by his guest sounds insane. That's Eric. But the portal apparently is a direct connection to hell and Satan. I think that a demonic portal opened above the White House around the time Biden moved in. This is brought to my attention by a Christian who lives in North Florida who sent me a bunch of photos, a bunch of documents, and a bunch of notations from the Bible, which tells you 2 things. 1, Roger Stone is either onto something, or 2, we have to protect these young Christians from our own people. Because they will get a hold of them. It's like I'm sorry. It's like Clay Clark brings Mike Flynn, General Flynn, up on Steve Schultz and Elijah streams over there, and Johnny Enlow's asking him about Q.
Yeah.
Well, I know General Flynn's not going to go positive on Q. The last thing he needs is the media covering him being a Q fanatic.
Yeah.
But we don't our tribe is a bit naive about
Well,
these
what's
things.
worse is you read the comments on that video and they're like, this is a clone. The real General Flynn died. And I'm like, what? Like, what? So listen, there's just extremes on both sides. There's like a continuum of crazy.
Our
And I
group
don't
can
know
be
where the
crazy.
line is, but I'm somewhere over here.
It's like one guy said, I was at a doing a master's degree class at ORU, and one of the guys in the class said, "You know what I like about you? You're not like those other prophets that are really crazy." And I said, "Trust me, I can be crazy when I have to be." So anyway, that's our tribe. We can be
So
what we have to
funny.
be. Gabe, do you have any other thoughts? What should we be looking for? What's your next instincts going to be on what you're covering and what you're getting into? Are you going to keep drilling down on this Luciferic elitism that's getting into the global order, or what should we expect from you in the future?
Yeah, well, actually, there was a recent happening where a man was in Canada and filming at a national park, and he just so happened to see. And now we're really getting into something here.
Oh no,
But
what is this?
I don't know-
What did he see
I
in the
don't know if
national
you've
park,
heard of
Gabe?
this.
A lizard person. Bigfoot.
No,
What will it be?
Let the
Whoa,
man
whoa, whoa,
talk.
whoa,
He's
whoa,
got
whoa,
me.
whoa.
I'm at the edge of my chair. What did he see?
The man just, this is just the beginning of the story. He just so happened to see a giant figure on top of the mountain. Sure enough, the next week, he tries to go film it again so that he can get, more evidence. And he's stopped by a ranger who says that the park is closed. On a public road leading to the national park, he just says, no, the park's closed. You're not welcome here. Go back. And then fast forward, again, he gets stopped again. There's a car outside of his house. And now here's where it actually gets serious and factual to anyone out there looking. He had been making videos. All of a sudden, he comes out with a video where he says that his other video was fake, which is just weird. Then a week later, he switches back and he says, actually, the videos were real and I'm afraid for my life. A month later, the local newspaper reported him as dead. Yeah. So
What did he?
yeah.
Do we have the videos? Do we know what he showed?
Yeah, I can pull up the video.
Come on, Gabe. We got to see this. Was it like?
But do we have the video here in the studio? How's Gabe
I
going to play it
don't-
on our screen?
I don't think you have it in the studio, but I can see if I can screen share it on mine.
You've got to. You got to
Alright.
because was this like Bigfoot?
I'm going with Nephilim. This is where
Nephilim,
I feel like if we're going to go on,
Are we talking about the fallen angels that have fallen down, or is that where we're going with this story right now?
well, I'm not going there, but that's where you guys are going. Correct.
I don't know. I think as I'm calling out all the, it's like the one time.
It's like the National Enquirer
Remember the time
show.
you and I were having a conversation with someone who's a business person,
Oh yeah.
and we were talking about how unfortunate it is that so many people are going off on these crazy conspiracy
Oh, here
theories.
we go. All right.
And then they said, "Yeah, well, Biden is a body
Do you
double."
see it?
Oh wait, it's a giant.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, you got to send this to us because we're going to have to. We got to blow that thing up and see what it is on top of there.
What is that though?
Is it like a human being figure? We don't know. I don't know if we're going
It's
to
a
edit this out or
snow-capped
leave it up. But it's a
mountain.
snow-capped mountain with a giant standing on top of it,
Well,
silhouetted
it doesn't look.
against
It
the
doesn't
sky.
look like it. We don't know it's a giant. I'm just saying you're assuming it's a giant
We don't know.
but it's a
Correct. We
snow-capped
don't know.
mountain and a very tall, shadowed, silhouetted figure.
But what I'm curious about is why he was not allowed to videotape or whatever the story is, and what are the circumstances of his death?
I don't know.
That's really this is something, and I'm giving you guys the primary update to this. I'm pulling up his obituary right here. It is. His name is Andrew Dawson.
What website is that on, Gabe? Or is that a YouTube
This is
video?
on This is Campbell River Mirror.
Okay.
The obituary. He lived from November 4th, 1987 to July 1st, 2022. And his TikToks, I will send over to you guys. So he filmed this all on TikTok, and so I can send that over to you guys, and we can really pour more into this. But all I'm saying is, again, there's a lot of stuff that happened here that was. I think this is either two ways. Either this is a real Nephilim that was filmed, and some government agency shut it down, or this man is the best genius the world has ever had, and he somehow came up with every single situation to make us believe this. But again, The odds of this man being that much of a genius, but it's more than that. The fact that he would be such a genius and come up with all these things and then just die. That is to me
that's what you call commitment to your art.
Well, can I ask a question? When did he live till July, you said?
July 1st, 2022.
Well, that was a snow-capped mountain we're looking at. So I'd be interested to know where it was filmed, when it was filmed, and then if it was in the fall, it took him 6 months
Canada.
to die.
Of course, it's Canada. It's up there. It's up there in the hinterlands of Canada because that's where Campbell River Mirror is, I believe. If you look it up, it's in Canada.
All right, I'm just a little concerned. I'm
Maybe
a little
it isn't.
concerned.
Yeah,
we're bringing the National Enquirer. This is the National Enquirer show. We're bringing to the people.
Let there be no doubt, people,
Okay.
that we're pushing the envelope. But let this be a lesson to you, young people, that when mainstream media stops doing investigative journalism, it opens up the portal for us to have to explore every scenario about reality because we do not trust the prevailing biases and disinformation of government-controlled media outlets.
I would agree with that.
That's why you're seeing so much conspiracy anxiety.
Yeah, because you trust your friends and your family, and then you make friends online, and you end up in an echo chamber that believes what you believe, and before you know it, the Earth is flat, and there's an ice wall, and
we don't go
the
there.
moon
But I mean, of course,
there's an observatory with little people that live inside of it. There's lizard people. JFK's really alive. I mean, there's a whole. I could keep going.
JFK Jr. That's what they're saying, and it is absurd. It is absurd. But Gabe, we're going to count on you to continue to bring us the most
absurd things on the internet,
the most probable absurdities that we can explore, or the most open to debate, because this one is a bit strange. And boy, we have a lot of we'll have to devote a program to the Nephilim phenomena because I never talk about it. I wouldn't even be bringing it up unless you brought it up here. But a lot of our crowd is really into the fallen angels scenario because they believe UFOs are tied in, as Chuck Missler taught, that I believe is true.
Yeah.
That we're living in a hologram universe, and that penetrating of the hologram is demonic entities that are moving in an operational capacity that kind of like is outside the quadrant of our time and space area, but they're breaking through the dimensional wall.
Well, and I'd love for you to talk about also, we don't have enough time in this show because we only have like a minute or two left, but you have talked about, essentially that everything that will be shaken can be shaken because heaven is coming down. And as it's coming down, the spirits and the principalities that occupy the high places are being disposed. And so I do think we're going to see even more spiritual, strange things happening. And it's important. I mean, Tucker, mainstream, is talking about aliens.
Tucker of all people.
And we have to define what it is, and you just did, is to say these are actually demonic entities, and an angel can deceive you, right? It can appear, a bad angel can appear as an angel of light. It can morph and change and deceive you. And I think more and more we're going to see things like that happening because of the days we live in.
It's inevitable because as the darkness increases and the light continues to pour out, you're going to have a dichotomy in the realms of the spirit, and both dimensions are going to break out and flash out into the material universe that we're in. And I'm just waiting for our side to start doing it because the other side looks like it's gotten a head start. We got portals, we got Bigfoot or Nephilim, and then we got, whatever you're talking about, UFOs.
I think for me, and I think I've said this on a broadcast a while ago, but I think the whole narrative of UFOs is a setup to explain the rapture when it happens.
Yes.
When everybody is
Gabe, you
whisked
jumped
away.
on that. You jumped on that rather quickly. You believe that?
What more do they need to build than this sense of anticipation, this sense of questions in everyone's mind, that when something so blatantly happens, they somehow have the answer? It's the perfect setup. Everyone is questioning whether UFOs are really happening. And notice how the government isn't answering it. Why? Because they want to answer it at the right time.
Yeah.
The rapture.
I think non-Christians will be taken during the time of the rapture so that it's not seen as the rapture. I think if I was the devil, I would be that cunning to also abduct non-believers. I mean, how does half the world disappear or a quarter of the world disappear and then you don't question it? That was God. They talked about it. It's no, it's those benevolent aliens who came down and now we serve them, and who knows?
Or maybe they were taking out the hindrance to the ultimate convergence, the ultimate harmonic, which is that these people were spiritually out of sync with the ultimate, unity. And therefore, they were a hindrance that had to be taken out.
Sure. Oh, sure.
Well, anyway, I want to thank you, Gabe, for being able to break in on this program. And it looks kind of cold out there where you are, so I'm glad to get you indoors and away from that frozen weather out there. And Mercedes, do you have any final thoughts or questions you want to ask Gabe before we...
Gabe's a big deal on YouTube. Gabe's a bigger deal on YouTube than Lance is. So I just wanted Gabe, plug your stuff.
I had 200,000 people before they took me off.
Yeah, Gabe's trying to help us build our YouTube back up, actually. But
Gabe, how can they keep in touch with you? How can they follow you? Tell them how to... This is obviously you're doing a bigger job than me. How can they follow you on this stuff?
Oh, you're funny. Well, first, before I tell them that, I just want to do a quick plug. I've created a 90-day devotional titled Built Different. In these coming ages of things that are coming, we got to get ready for what is to come and be who God has called us to be. And so to anyone watching, go get this devotional. It's in stores everywhere, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, especially also if you have a young adult or millennial, Gen Z, go get them a copy of this. It'll really bless them. A lot of modern day cultural interpretations through the Bible in this 90-day Devo. Separate to that, the plug is just Gabe Pro on every platform, and they can go find that. And let's get this book into the hands of young people so that they can have the right minds about what is to come.
Amen.
Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and various other outlets. Built
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Wherever books are read, we can find that book. Thank you, Gabe. We'll make sure we get it out there. Bye-bye, my brother. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a normal show. I just want you to know that. This is not my normal news analysis, which I have right here, of things going on in the world, has been temporarily hijacked by the realization that the paranormal and the supernatural does require explanation, and we haven't satisfied the debate yet on the portal. We might have to go back and hear both sides on that. We don't know what that creature was. First I heard about it was today on top of that mountain. And I'm not going into UFOs right now, but we will have to get there in the future. So on the basis of all that, we'll be back to more prescient, predictable news analysis and prophetic perception on tomorrow's broadcast. God bless you.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.
I made a discovery recently talking to Mike Lindell. I discovered that he's got a product which every family that has faith needs to get a hold of for their children. It's Mike's Pillows. When your kids go to sleep at night, they could go to sleep literally on the story of Noah's Ark. Tell them the story. Read to them the scripture. As they go to bed, they're going to dream dreams that are Bible-related. How about Daniel in the lion's den? Oh, it could be a traumatic dream or it could be a comforting dream, letting your child know that God is always with you no matter what the situation. I love this one here. It's the beautiful one for Christmas, too, where it's about the birth of Jesus. Tell your child the story. Read to them the scripture. Put their head to rest on the word of God at night. Tell them that you expect God to give them dreams and then ask them the next day, what dreams did they get? Your child needs to be protected and pillowed in the faith of God. And as a parent, you can make it happen. You want to go to mypillow.com and use the special promo code Lance. That's mypillow.com. Use Lance as the promo code and get access to these powerful tools to bring your child peace of mind as they go to bed at night.